Sergeant Blake pressed a gloved hand against the damp trunk of an ancient banyan tree, listening for signs of pursuit. The humid air of Tyrax 5 clung to his skin, and a chorus of cicada-like insects buzzed in the high branches. Above the tangled canopy, the sunlight flickered like firelight, casting shifting shadows across the brush. From his left, Corporal Darius crouched low, sweat lining his jaw. "No movement yet," he whispered, his breath hitched with tension. They were deep in alien territory, though to humans like Blake this jungle was home. Tyrax 5 had been colonized generations ago, and men like Blake and Darius had grown up learning its secrets, how vines concealed snare traps, where quicksand pockets hid near rotting logs, and which insect calls signaled incoming rain. The Revelons, slender, scaled aliens in gleaming bronze armor, had arrived expecting an easy subjugation. They boasted stealth drones, advanced rifles, and a well-trained force. But what they failed to understand was that humans rarely fought fair. In a dense jungle, cunning trumped technology. Blake signaled Private Mason and Private Kellen to move forward. Through the leaf litter, they crawled like silent ghosts. The four men formed one of many squads across Tyrax 5, each laying traps, sabotaging supply routes, and waging a relentless guerrilla campaign. Up ahead, a faint glimmer of Revelon armor winked in the half-light. Blake motioned for Darius to take point. They approached a narrow gully, overflowing with tangled roots and clinging vines. In it stood a small Revelon patrol, 5 aliens, scanning with stiff postures. Commander Lurex, recognized by his elaborate shoulder crest, barked orders in their hissing tongue. Mason's chest tightened at the sight of their advanced rifles. One misstep would turn them into charred husks, but fear only sharpened the men's resolve. They had survived Tyrax 5's predators and storms. What was an alien empire against that? In a blur of practiced motion, Kellen pulled a taut vine. The trap sprang. A spiked net, camouflaged among dangling lianas, crashed onto 2 unsuspecting aliens. They screeched as sharpened stakes pierced scaly flesh. The other 3 whirled, rifles raised, but not fast enough. "Good morning, sister." "Good morning, Lieutenant," the first said, and he smiled at. Darius lunged from the underbrush, unleashing a burst from his carbine. Bullets chewed into alien armor at close range, spraying greenish fluid. Blake dove behind a half-rotten trunk, returning fire. The stench of ozone from Revelon pulse beams mixed with acrid gun smoke. The Mandalorians barked a counterattack, and the remaining Revelons hunkered behind rocks. Kellen lobbed a homemade grenade, with the scrap metal packed in a canister of black powder. It soared overhead and detonated with a deafening blast, shattering the silence of the jungle. Smoke billowed, and the shrieks of wounded aliens echoed through the ravine. Still, the Revelons fought on, beam rifles carving searing lines through the foliage. Mason took a near hit, his sleeve singed, flesh scalded, but he gritted his teeth and kept firing. Darius dropped to a knee, reloading, sweat dripping into his eyes. A final flash of green announced Commander Lurix's personal weapon, a wicked pulse lance that crackled like lightning. A shot grazed Kellen's side, sending him sprawling with a raw cry. Furious, Blake scrambled behind a toppled log for cover, scanning for an opening. Drawing on memories of old hunting tricks, Blake angled his rifle and fired at a precarious vine overhead. It snapped with a sharp twang, releasing a heavy branch that crashed onto 2 more aliens. They collapsed in a jumble of splintered armor and shattered limbs. Commander Lyrix, battered but still upright, roared in defiance. His ridged crest flared, and he spat a guttural command. From the corner of his eye, Blake spotted a faint shimmer, perhaps a Revelon cloaking device. Reinforcements might be closing in. Darius, scowling, adjusted the grip on his gun. "We've got to finish this, fast." With a silent nod, Blake signaled Mason. The private, clutching his wounded arm, tossed another grenade, forcing Lyrix to vault behind a crumbling boulder. Blake pivoted around the log, squeezed the trigger, and aimed for the narrow gap in Lyrex's armor. One well-placed bullet slammed into the alien's neck. Lyrex staggered back, trying to hiss words that never emerged, then collapsed in a heap of twisted metal and scales. The jungle fell quiet, broken only by the sputtering crackle of small fires. Over the reek of burnt vegetation, Blake caught the coppery tang of alien blood. Kellen groaned, pressing a hand to his seared flank, and Mason gritted his teeth as he tried to stanch the burn on his arm. Darius exhaled in relief. "We'll have more of them soon," he warned, eyes darting up toward the canopy. "We need to grab what we can and move." Blake knelt by Lyrex's body, prying free the advanced pulse lance. A trophy for the next battle. "Check their packs," he ordered, voice low. "Salvage any rations, ammo, or comm devices. We'll hit their main force again at dawn." In the gloom of the ravine, the men worked quickly, ignoring the acrid smoke. When they regrouped, Kellen limped but gave a firm nod, ready for whatever came next. Stepping away from the carnage, they blended once more into the emerald darkness. The Revellans might have arrived with guns and dropships, but they didn't understand the primal heartbeat of Tyrax 5 or the men who fought for it. On this world, cunning and grit overpowered sleek technology. For every inch the aliens advanced, the jungle devils clawed back a mile. "Stay sharp," Blake muttered, leading them deeper into the thicket. "There's always another patrol." Yet in his chest, he felt a fierce pride burn. No matter how many came, they would learn the same harsh truth. Humans didn't fear the darkness of Tyrax 5's jungles. They were the darkness, lurking with traps and bullets. Savage hearts forged under sweltering skies. And so the men vanished into shifting shadows, leaving behind the hush of vines and the carnage of a patrol that never stood a chance. The war was far from over, but as long as one human still drew breath in these dense wilds, the jungle would remain unconquered.